Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jim Kleiber Show. If you were paying attention yesterday, I didn't have a show. This is the first time since I started running the show that I skipped an episode. And a big part of me felt really guilty. Another part of me felt a little proud that I paused and took time to take care of myself. So why did I skip the episode? Yesterday was Thursday, so Wednesday night, I was on this app called Clubhouse, which is a new app that they say is for drop-in audio chat rooms. So basically, I joined a chat room, and I think I joined a chat room with a lot of people who were on the West Coast, so they were 3 hours behind, and I ended up staying really late, staying up really late, like 4 or something in the morning. I think the chat room I got out at like 3:30 in the morning, like super late. Interesting experience. I sat there in the audience. I listened for a while, and then eventually got a chance to come up on the quote-unquote stage and speak with some of the other people there. It was a heavy conversation. The conversation chat room was called something about we need to stop coddling white people. And so me as the white guy in the room, I was trying to learn a lot, trying to contribute some perspective as well. But it was with complete strangers. and yeah, I don't know. I got asked a question that hit me pretty hard because I didn't have an answer and because I didn't know if I know how to have an answer to that. Someone asked me, what have I done in the last 30 days to directly help white people stop being stop being racist and stop being basically causing so much harm to black people. And I didn't know how to answer. I mean, I think one reason I didn't know how to answer is because 30 days, for the last 30 days, I don't even know what the last 30 days are. Every day seems to blend together. It feels like yesterday was March. So just from the 30-day standpoint, I struggled. But I also struggled I think another reason I struggled is I spend a lot of time actually talking with people who are in, like my friends in Africa, who are African, or friends in Europe. I don't actually talk to a lot of people who are white American that often. Some old friends I have from high school, my family members. So in person, I'm really only talking to my family. And online and through chat and stuff like this, I'm not having a lot of those conversations directly. But I think the thing that I struggle with the most is that I don't know how to directly resolve it, because I think a lot of white people, we don't think that we're causing harm. We don't think, we're not going to necessarily sign up for a class that's about getting rid of racism. I mean, some of us do. There was a class that I took out in the Bay Area, and it was something about how, to not be racist. And I signed up for it, and I went to the first class, and I asked the organizers why they did it. And they said, well, because our black friends suggested we do it. I'm like, what's this? For me, it's like, can we get rid of it by approaching it from an oblique angle? Or not, not going head on, but coming at it from the side. And the realization I had at that time was that it's not that it's not that we're afraid of black people. We're afraid of black people. We can be afraid of Muslims. We can be afraid of losing our jobs. We can be afraid of our neighbors. We can be afraid of the government. We can be afraid of a lot of different entities. And for me, it's more about the fear and how do we deal with that fear. So if you look at a lot of white culture in general, but a lot of culture across the world, there's this idea that one should be fearless, don't have any fear. I think it's quite ludicrous, and I think it's quite dangerous to live a life without fear. I think what's healthy is to have fear and then also to have courage. So courage meaning stepping into that fear and doing something anyways, but recognizing that the fear is there, because the fear can be really protective in ways. And so I think for many people in general, but especially white population in the US, we have a lot of fear, and then we're told to not have fear. And so we just bottle up that fear and pretend like we're strong and we don't have any fear. But I think some of the strongest or most courageous people are the ones that recognize they do have fear. And so for me, a way to help improve relations between, white people and black people in the country is to help other white people get better at dealing with their fears in general, or our fears in general. Dealing with our anxieties and our worries and our pain and the grief and the trauma and the stuff that we're holding inside. Because I think this idea that we only project our fear and our hatred towards one thing is not true. I just don't see it much in my life. I see, at least from my perspective, when I am feeling just achy or tired or hungry, I seem to hate on everyone. I don't discriminate. It's towards everyone. And I just have this belief that helping people be more emotionally and physically healthy in general can help towards specific cases as well. And so I really struggled with that question, because it's like, I don't know what I've specifically done. Maybe it's because I don't try to operate on a specific level. I try to help them on a specific level as it relates to their own pain and suffering that they see. A lot of times, if I were to cause pain to another person, I don't recognize that I'm causing pain to that other person. So for me to try to work on not causing pain to that person, I don't have that, I don't have the pain point, if that makes sense. It's not like bothering me that I'm causing pain to someone and I don't even know I'm causing pain to them, because a lot of times I don't know. But what I probably do want to work on is the pain that I'm struggling with. And I have this belief, this hypothesis, if you will, that if I work on the pain that I'm struggling with, it will help me not cause so much pain to other people. It's something that I read on Twitter and I quote quite often, is that they say, hurt people hurt people. And so this idea of helping people heal so that we no longer hurt other people. And I've noticed it in my life. I mean, I could say this in theory and platitudes and stuff, but again, here's a very relevant example and recent example. I have been struggling, I'd say, over the last couple months with a lot of pain in my neck, like a literal pain in my neck. It's at the back of my neck, and it reminded me, kind of at the base, and it reminded me of everything was just kind of tight, and hear the bones crack a lot, or the ligaments or whatever, something cracking and stressing. And I had a roommate a couple years ago who really struggled with this. And so I've been trying to figure it out, but also getting distracted by trying to help other people get emotionally healthy and ignoring myself, this and that. And today I just had this realization, maybe it's because when I'm using my phone, my arms are out like this, right? Because I have my phone close to me. Maybe if I have my phone really far, then my elbows come in, but typically like this, my elbows are out. But when my elbows are out like this, there's a lot of tension right here, and my shoulders kind of bow forward a little bit this way. And I've been noticing that I've had a lot of tension just all the way through here, and it kind of pops, my shoulders like this, it pops my neck in some weird position, and I can feel the bones just kind of rubbing on each other. And so what I tried was, let me just try to tuck my elbows in. They talk about this a lot when I was taking Krav Maga. If you want to throw a good punch, you got to have your elbows in. Elbows out to punch, it's not very strong. You put it in, there's a lot of strength there. So I thought, let me tuck my elbows in. And I did that just for a few minutes. And I noticed that my neck started to relax right here. It didn't feel so kind of inflated and pumped up. I felt the muscles all through the neck relax. I also felt the jaw relax. I also felt the scalp relax. As I've talked about on the show before, I've been thinking that my scalp is really tight and that I'm starting, the hairline is starting to recede in a way. And so I thought, let me focus on the elbows in. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but in this conversation right now, I feel much more alive than I have in many other conversations on this show, because I finally feel a certain level of relaxation. I haven't felt it in months. Now, how does that apply to my interactions with other people? If I'm hunched over and I got my shoulders here and this is tight and my head is tight and I'm worried about the hair and I'm worried about the neck and I'm worried about my posture and I'm worried about the back and all these things, how much of that do I project on other people? Right? So if I meet somebody who's of if I meet a black person here in the U.S., how much am I going to project my own internal conflict on them? And so really, if I complain about them or I'm angry about, something that they've done, how much of that is actually just the stuff that's going on with me that's bothering me? My hypothesis is a lot. I'd say the vast majority. Because when I actually feel really calm, relaxed, excited, filled with joy, grateful, stuff like this, I'm not very mean towards other people. I don't snip at them. I don't snap at them. I don't cut back and throw shade and be passive aggressive. Not really. But when I have thing after thing after thing after thing making me feel frustrated and angry and distrustful, suspicious and worried and afraid, then I throw it on everyone else. So I struggled to answer that question because I really didn't think. I think a lot of times it's not the one thing. It's trying to solve a conflict is better by not going directly at it. I'm reminded of a story that I may have told on the show before, but it's I have a second or third cousin that's a psychologist, and she said she had these two people come in one day, both elderly, probably I think in their 80s. So one was a man, one was a woman, and the man came in and he says, "You know what? I like my broccoli with cheese, and my wife likes her broccoli steamed. She always makes it steamed. I'm going to kill her." And then she says, she saw the other patient a couple days later. The patient comes in, "I like my broccoli steamed. My husband likes his broccoli with cheese. I'm going to kill him." And I think my cousin says, "It's not about the broccoli." Oh, because they were actually husband and wife, right? So this idea that we may have conflict, but sometimes it's just the straw that broke the camel's back. It's the last thing, and we perceive that it's 100% of the conflict. Very often, it's just a small percentage. It's just the final thing, or maybe we're just the person that they feel comfortable expressing their anger to, and so it all just gets blasted on us. Whereas it was coming from many of the things that happened that day, or many things that have happened that week, month, year, or in the last couple of years. Or even not even within their lifetime, but something happened perhaps to their ancestor, to their relative, and that story got passed on. And so the story being passed on caused a lot of that pain and that anguish. So I struggled with that question because I don't know how effective it is to try to resolve that conflict directly. I believe it's much more effective to help white people in the U.S. struggle or resolve the struggles that they're aware of, that they're struggling with. Because I think if they are more emotionally healthy, I say they, I mean we, if we are more emotionally healthy, then we can be more kind to others, right? And be less afraid or less jealous. I think there's a tremendous amount of jealousy that we have as white people towards black people in this country. I think there's a tremendous amount of insecurity that we have, fear that we have, not fear that, and a lot of it, again, has to do with the general fear, the general insecurity, the general jealousy that we probably have towards many things in our lives. And emotionally, I would say a lot of us in white America are taught not to express emotions. Most emotions, not all. I mean, some of them are fine. We're allowed to laugh. We're allowed to be excited. Some of these things. We're not overall, I'd say, allowed to be angry. I think it depends on the economic class sometimes, but that may be a generalization as well. I think when I speak of these generalizations, it's not for everyone. People come from different backgrounds. There is no one white culture or one black culture or anything like that. It's, families are different, individuals are different, regions are different, things like this. But I think overall, this idea of not expressing anger, not expressing sadness, not expressing fear, I think we can end up bottling up a lot of those. And the anger leaks out in passive aggression. The fear leaks out in kind of avoidance. avoiding things or putting certain rules in place to prevent people from doing things. Kind of like, yeah, well, they talk about systemic racism. I think a lot of the fear manifests itself in that way, where it may come into certain rules or certain systems that are put in place to try to mitigate the fear that we have. Again, not just related to people of African descent, but many people in general, or many things in general. So I was grateful for that question in a way. I didn't know how to respond because it was like 3:30 in the morning. My main response was how I could have been more kind and loving in the interaction towards them. Not taking up so much space in the conversation, making sure that the conversation stayed on topic and not getting kind of redirected. And just being more grateful for the people who did share their experiences and opened up about some of the struggles that they were having. And now in reflection, just appreciating that it challenged me to think about why I got so stuck by that question. And hold on, I'm going to pause 1 second because that heater's turning on and it's loud. So I was really grateful for the question because it helped me challenge and understand what my hesitation or my frustration with the question was. And, I think I've been so frustrated with myself over the last year or so because I've spent a lot of time trying to help other people be well, at least thinking about how to help other people be well. Thinking about the election, thinking about people who are supporting Trump and try to help them with this, whatever they're struggling with in their life. Thinking about people in other countries and trying to help them with their struggles. Thinking about family members and trying to help them with their struggles. Thinking about the protests that were happening and trying to help Black Americans with their struggles. And I spent so much time thinking about how to help other people. And I think this is very common for many of us, that I haven't really intentionally focused that much on myself and how to help myself feel better. And when I say feel better, it's to not be stuck in the mode of stress all the time. To have stress and relaxation and joy and anger and sadness and fear and courage and hope and hopelessness and strength and weakness and vulnerability and all this stuff, to feel it all. I've noticed that I've been so stressed over the last couple months just trying to figure out how to help other people. That when I take this morning and, when I take yesterday and I say, you know what, I stayed up way too late and I felt so angry at myself, but I stayed because I wanted to help other people realize what the conversation was about, right? And then I paused and I said, you know what, I could do the show today, but I was so tired. And so I actually let myself sleep in, tried. And then, but my neck was still sore. And so this morning I said, okay, I'm just going to pause and I'm going to stretch. I'm going to pay attention to my body. How can I help myself relieve some of this tension? What can I play with to relieve this neck stress? And it has seemed to work so far. And I can feel right now how I am going to be much gentler towards other people and more tender and kind towards other people today. I can just feel it. I can sense it because of a simple thing like just tucking my elbows in and feeling this part relax. It's amazing. I also had a splinter in my foot that just came out today. Fantastic. Oh, it's amazing. Two simple things that are related to my physical health and how, resolving them can help me resolve other conflicts in life. So I say this to say a lot of times we can try to resolve a conflict directly. We can try to focus on the problem specifically and go after that. But I think many more times we actually resolve it by not going at it directly, but trying to figure out what are some of the underlying things that we can address. And a lot of people don't seem to like this answer. A lot of times what I say is people get really frustrated. No, you need to resolve this conflict. I say, no, but if I resolve this, it's likely I'll resolve this conflict as well. No, but you need to resolve the one in front of you. I'm trying to do this. Yeah. I don't know. Well, I think we all try more in this world than the other people realize. And other people are trying a lot more than we realize. That most of us are just trying our best. And we don't really know what to do. And we're really scared that we're going to do something stupid and be humiliated in front of others. And we're kind of, what do they say, walking on eggshells, really being hesitant to do something that would hurt people. We don't want to hurt people most of the time. And if we do hurt people a lot of times, it's because we're hurting and we just lash out. And we don't want to be the only ones hurting. We don't want to be sitting here in this deep amount of pain and looking at other people look like they feel totally fine. And even going on this example, for the last couple of months, if my neck was hurting, I would look at other people. I'd be like, I get jealous. I'd get angry. Why are they going out? They're exercising. They're doing all this stuff. Here I am, just wallowing in my pain. And it's just, it can so easily creep into our lives. And like I said, trickle down into so many other aspects of our lives. And we don't even realize it. We think it's actually that one thing that's causing the problem, but really it's all of these other things upstream that are leading to our conflict with that person or with that thing. So I hope this helps you a little bit. And if it doesn't, that's okay, because it's helping me talk about it. I'm grateful that I'm having the conversation. I'm excited to get back into that space where I care about my health and then share things with others in case it might help them, and not get so obsessed with whether it helps them or not. So if this helps you, fantastic. If this doesn't help you, fantastic. If the elbows in thing seems ludicrous to you and doesn't make any sense, fine. Don't try it, or don't do it, or call me a lunatic, or do whatever you may. But I feel better. I feel more relaxed, which means I will probably treat you more kindly, whether you treat me more kindly or not. I will probably feel more connected to you and feel more love towards you as a result of taking care of myself, more so than trying to help you feel better, if that makes sense. Because it's an uphill battle sometimes, We try to help somebody as much as we can, and then it doesn't work, and then we get frustrated, and then we're not paying attention to ourselves, and then we get angry at that person for not paying attention to us, and at the end of the day, we can't really change other people that much. Can't even change ourselves too much, but I don't know. I think if we give ourselves enough attention, that we're not craving it from other people, and then if we can help resolve some of our own challenges, then when we are interacting with other people, we're not bringing our, what they call it, the baggage or the luggage, our emotional baggage to the table. We're there with them and helping them more from a balanced position instead of being really near the extremes. So speaking of extremes, I can feel my voice disappearing a little bit. I'm glad it's a Friday. I'm excited to relax, not have the show for a couple days, and try to keep my elbows tucked in and see if that makes any difference. It could all be in my head, but seems to work for now. So this is Jim Kleiber signing off on Friday, December 4th. May you all have a good weekend, and good weekend meaning good however you want it to be, whether that's relaxing, exciting, again, confusing, full of exploration or rest or whatever you want. I think good is relative for every person and relative for every time and context. So I hope you have the weekend that you want to have. And if you don't, then I hope you still feel all right. All right. All right. Thanks, all. Thanks, y'all. Glad to have you here, and hope you take care. Ciao, y'all.